Howdy. It has been a dry spell of movies lately, so I have been given time to go through my backlog of, films that I would like to watch. Before this, next month could be quite busy with movies. A lot of movies coming out next month, including the new Superman movies coming out. And during the meantime, I have been watching all the live action Superman movies, and today I am going to rank them and which one I like the least and the one I like the best. I could be very biased today, as anyone who makes any kind of list will be. I mean, just today I saw someone talk about an older Superman movie and they said it was the best one, and I highly disagree. So let the war start, even though we are going to try to do this in a civil manner. Let's get it started. Here's my graph here, or picture here. Let's go a little. Yes. We are going to basically we are putting it the worst being the kryptonite, and then the best being the little sun there, for obvious reason. So if I'm being quite honest with you, let's start with Superman, the first Superman movie. For its time, it seemed like it was one of the biggest steps towards like live action superhero movies. So that's like one thing I can say about that. I even watched the documentary about like Christopher Reeves. It was more about his life after like his accident. But when I think of Superman, I think of Christopher Reeves. Like just he was just a nobody who became Superman, and it was I think he was good as Clark Kent. He was good as Superman. So those four films are pretty magical. I will say that much. But the first one, I'll be honest with you, it's one of the ones that I watched like every now and then as a kid, or not like a whole lot. So we actually watched it in school because one, we were doing a science project learning about faults, and we learned about the San Andreas fault and Lex Luthor's plot there, and then the stupid and then the ridiculous time travel thing, which does not make any sense. So yeah, it's the first Superman. Although like the time travel stuff, I literally gonna put it like right here. And so how I'm doing this, I probably should put like a number. The scale of this is like number 2 technically speaking. But as far as the actors, I mean, the original Lois Lane, I think she was really good too. Gene Hackman, Lex Luthor, I felt he was a little too like, he wasn't bald enough for me. Like he always had the wig on, and for some reason, like in the other ones, he was just there too much. I think I don't know. I don't explain it. Yeah. And also, like, I have to try to put my head in the mindset of like what was life like in the olden days, right? But I'm everything's CGI now. It's hard to like really deal with that. I feel like I'm doing this list weird, but Superman 2. We're not gonna put that in the list. We're putting that. Honestly, sue me, but I thought. Honestly, I battle between Superman. Look, you're seeing how this is already going. It's not going great for like the first two enjoyers, because some people said that the second one's much better. I think because I've seen like Man of Steel, like the Man of I'll get the Man of Steel in a minute. That's his own problem. That's his own deal there. But like it's like in the first one there was no fighting, but like I guess it did establish Superman, and giving people hope and and I'm gonna say this now. I was a big Superman hater. I did not like Superman for the longest time, but think about it, I didn't know much about Superman. You know what I'm saying? I was just a hater for no reason. Everyone was like Batman. I remember when the Dawn of Justice, the Batman v Superman came out, I was like Team Batman. But now I'm like, you know what, Superman, he's actually, I don't know, he kind of cool. Like he's a little dorky, but like a little whimsical. But I'm kind of leaning on like, hey, maybe I was harsh on Superman. But anyways, second one, at least it had fight scenes. I don't know. I just. It felt long. The action didn't really come hitting to the very end. There were parts of it that was kind of cool, where like Zod and his crew come and like, yeah, we're taking over the world. But for some reason, America's the one who's has the palm of the world in its hand. I mean, I guess it's not any different than today. Yeah, but like Superman 2, I did like the part where like I might have to switch those two, because I did like the part where like Lois and Clark kind of like bond more. But then like I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of Lois Lane. I feel like and look, maybe this is like toxic of me to say this, but like, or maybe it's a hot take, but I always felt like she only likes Superman. She doesn't like Clark. You know what I mean? Like she's like, not that it's wrong that like Clark and Lois are friends, right? But she finds out that he's Superman, and then like, I think this is the reason why like I think 2 was weird, is like he kisses her and she loses her memory, and like I try to look that up. There's kind of like a comic where like maybe it loses that, but like it just doesn't make any sense. He does it like multiple times, which I feel is also like kind of weird on Superman's part and a little manipulative on him. But yeah, anyways, so third, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this one, Man of Steel. Judging from where this is going, you may not like what's about to happen here? Yeah, Man of Steel. And the reason I say Man of Steel, I watched Man of Steel. I wasn't going to rewatch Man of Steel because I've seen it a numerous amount of times, but I was like, might as well. First of all, it's like they made Superman to Jesus, and watching the other ones, like, I feel like he's a bit whimsical. And, the more I get older, the more I do appreciate like different takes on different stuff, right? It's something that I think is it's gonna happen as we move further in time, right? But yeah, like, it was kind of boring. It was kind of a boring movie. It was kind of like the first two original Supermans, like, kind of almost put together, because like the 70% of the movie is just him finding himself, which is like cool. I feel like the movie could have been split into two: him finding himself, then he fights Zod. But like, the Zod part comes really late, and quite honestly, I feel like we don't give the humans enough credit for like the stuff they did to like help him defeat Zod. I mean, they crashed a like plane into like the ship, or the world engine or whatever, and they sacrificed themselves, like, and Superman gets the credit, like, and Kevin Costner, the hand thing, that's probably the most iconic part of the movie. But yeah, it was like they just make him like Jesus and like a religious figure, and that's kind of where like the Zack, and I know like the Snack Snyder fans like, oh, like they see the new Superman trailer and they're like, this is not my Superman, and I was like, bro, like I've watched all these, like, they're very so there's that, right? But just Man of Steel was just kind of like, it was a little slow. And people always argued that Zack Snyder makes beautiful movies, but kind of boring dialogues, But I do like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he, like, physique-wise, he's really good. Not a great Clark Kent. The most like boring, and not in a good way, Clark Kent. Like, that's literally Superman in glasses. Like when I see Christopher Reeves, literally you can literally see the how he turns to a different character as soon as he slouches and puts the glasses on. Christopher Reeves is like peak as far as like switching between Clark and Superman. Like, I could truly believe that they're two different people. You don't really see Clark until like the very end, and even then you don't really see Clark, I think, even until Batman v Superman. But yeah, he's not Clark. But, much respect to Henry Cavill. Like, you really get to do a whole lot with your Superman, if I'm being honest with you. At least I don't think. Remember, he was in Black Adam? Anyway. Okay, so people might hate me for this one, but like, I'm putting you're already probably thinking where I'm going with this. Superman 3. I'm putting Superman 3 here. Let me be honest with you. Superman 3, look. My critique about the first two is I felt that they were kind of like generic. See, back in the day, I think people were really scared of like going too whimsical, doing too comic-like in this, and that's what I kind of like about the last two, is that they kind of do get more goofy. My critique of Superman 3 though, it really drew out. And first of all, I don't know why Richard Pryor was put in there. Now, my theory is like, look, I felt like back in these days, you had like certain things you had to put in movies. You had to put like the comic relief, you had to put an eye candy woman in there, which they did. But like, Superman fights himself. He fights like this inner demon within himself. He splits into two different personalities. I mean, granted, they had some weird, like, this bootleg kryptonite makes him evil, but like, he turned evil, kind of more handlebar mustache kind of evil. He was nefarious. He was a dastardly no good do-gooder, and he fights himself. He literally fights himself. I will say towards the end, I'm like, can we build the superhero and defeat it? Like, it was a very long movie, but it was just, man, it was an interesting, it's one of those movies that I will put on and I'm like, hey, you need to watch this. Will I say it's a good film? Like, don't get me wrong, I think the first one and maybe a little bit of the second one, I think the first one is probably the best paced in like a good amount of time frame, but like this one, like, I was watching it and I was kind of like on the edge of my seat in the sense of like, how stupid could this get? And as someone who, like, I watched Showa era Godzilla, like, I kind of like stupid films, so maybe that's why I enjoy the brain rot. Now, which is it gonna be for my number one? Let's talk about number two. And so, why I make them number two, you're probably gonna guess what my number one's gonna be. So, number two, Quest for Peace. So that means Superman Returns is gonna be number one. So let's stick with Quest for Peace first. And so sit there and boil while you get mad at me for putting Superman Returns as number one, while I talk about Quest for Peace. Why I like Quest for Peace. Now, I've debated this with people who told me that 3 was better than 4. Why I liked 4 is I did like how political it got. Superman literally went to the world and said, hey, I don't like that you guys have nuclear bombs, and I'm gonna get rid of all of them. In a way, it's kind of like how he was sent to trial in Was that Dawn of Justice? But like everyone just clapped for Superman, which I don't think would happen. I would think in real life they would actually be like, whoa, who's this alien to tell us like we can't have nuclear weapons? But I like that he did that. He was like, screw all you guys. You guys are just trying to kill each other. And you know, like I said, relevant as any day to this time. But it was literally the quest for peace.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
He was like, let's get rid of all the bombs. Let's stop blowing each other up. We could build a beautiful world together. And then, you know, Gene Hackman, Lex Luthor's like, he said the quiet part a lot, like, you know, the threat of war is like what keeps the money going. You know what I mean? We're going to keep funding Lockheed and Martin, right? So it's like, let's keep it going. Keep the war machine turning, baby. And then he makes Nuclear Man, and Nuclear Man has his nuclear nails. And it's like, and then they put Nuclear Man in the comics, which is crazy. But what can I say? Maybe I'm stupid, but like those last two, like 3 and 4, like I did enjoy them more than I did. Maybe because he just threw a lot at me. Maybe that's why. And also the third one had Lana Lang in it, so that's why I kind of like that one more than the first two. Like I said, I'm not really vibing. You know, like in Spider-Man, I guess everyone has like you have your Mary Jane, your Gwen Stacy. Like I'm a Lana Lang person, I guess. Sue me, right? I wish she was in the fourth one, but like, hey. Anyways, my number one, Superman Returns. I say Superman Returns. Okay, look. When I finished all, let's see, boom, 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 right? Boom. You know, when I finished those 4, and before we made the jump to this, I mean, I will say about Man of Steel, like, they try to lore drop you, but also my critique in this one was like, why? I don't feel like they need to set up Zod already, like in the first like minute, and like Marlon Brando talking or whatever. I don't talking to Zod and them, like unless they knew they were gonna make a second one, but whatever. I digress. So Superman Returns. I like Superman Returns. I thought like I kind of remember when it came out slightly, which I didn't know this, but like I believe the Batman Begins came out before Superman Returns. They did drop a breadcrumb of like Gotham. They mentioned Gotham in that one, but in Superman Returns, I felt that like I remember like everyone like hyping the trailer up because like, I believe it had like, you know, when they shoot Superman in the eyeball and it like crushes. That was like so cool. Like my critique about like Man of Steel is you know, regards to these other 4 like, you know, Superman's like kind of like he gets his PSAs and like, you know, he stops a plane crash and he's like, hope he doesn't stop you from flying, you know, with the planes because it's the safest air travel. You know, he gets his PSAs, and Man of Steel was like, he was just always looking at the sun and smelling the air, and maybe I didn't vibe with that so much. Not to say that like I said, as time progresses, different takes will happen, you know, and you know will cause different eras of different films, right? So I can't be too mad about that. But like I do enjoy the whimsical PSA Boy Scout nerdy Superman. I do kind of enjoy that. Like he's a cool nerd when he's Superman. He's just a dork when he's Clark Kent. But I like that both. I love the duality of that. I felt like I got a good mixture of like maybe something newer. Like in the spectrum of Superman, I think it leans in the middle of like these older films and Man of Steel, and it was I think it was a good balance. Yeah, I felt Superman Returns, what it did better than I think most of the other movies was I felt it had a good balance of the stories. All the A plot, B plot, C plot, whatever, all did come together as one. Versus some of the other ones are like they kind of just were all over the place, which they did kind of make it fun for me to watch to some degree. But yeah, Superman Returns, I mean, like overall actor's great, you know, aside for like one of them. And then the plot twist about, you know, spoiler alert, is you know, Lois Lane's kid. And in this one, it made me not hate Lois Lane a lot that much. You know, I like the love story, the love triangle between like Lois Lane. She moved on. She was like, you know, she moved on. Why he went to go find himself. And so you have this story of like, yeah, she was upset. You have points of like, man, I can't believe Superman ditched Lois Lane like that. But then also like she has to understand that like, oh, Superman went to go find himself where he came from, and like you have to kind of have to balance that. Oh, like we both moved on. We both, I don't know. I liked that part, and it did kind of come together towards the end, and Superman lifts an entire island continent up. That's crazy that he does that while he's being like attacked by kryptonite, you know? It's crazy. I mean, it was just crazy as when Superman froze a lake and lifted it up, you know? So Superman Returns, I'm gonna say it was my favorite one, and and it kind of loosely does connect to the other ones. And like a weird continuity kind of thing, but yeah, I'm excited to see what the new one does, and I don't know where the new one's gonna fall in my list here, but yeah, you know, so go ahead and yell at me for for making this here. So anyways, Drew's out.